Okay, so I've got a 6S here that's coming for water damage, sent in by another repairer. Now it is here for data recovery only. Now this was water damage by the looks of it a couple of weeks ago. Now in a minute you'll be able to tell if this person has likely put this in rice as to how much corrosion is actually on the board. So I have explained quite a lot on like Facebook and on the website why you shouldn't put things in rice and why it is complete bullshit. So in a second I'll show you why, and I'll show you the right way on how to fix this. So by actually putting things in rice, you're not really addressing the problem. You're just speeding up corrosion and adding more impurities to the board rather than cleaning it, which is what you should be doing. So it's important that when you're actually when you say if you got something water damaged, that you don't want to focus on drying it out. Obviously everyone panics and you want to just do something at least when your phone gets water damaged, but when everyone stresses, you do stupid shit. So slow down and think about what you're doing, and think about the fact that you've got water on a circuit board, and you go power that up. You're adding electricity to a circuit board that's got water on it. Like you wouldn't power on a PowerPoint if it had water on it. So try and use that sort of logic to stop yourself from using rice, or stop yourself from turning the phone on. And like this rule actually goes for everything, like computers, laptops, iPads, phones, every phone. Anything. You don't want to power something on if it's wet. So if I get this board out, I should state actually when saying that doesn't mean that you go and dry it out and then turn it on, because when you've dried it out you've started the corrosion process, and then you're going to go and turn it on while there's corrosion all over the board, and you're going to form hot joints. You're going to have a lot of worse issues than you potentially could have had. So okay, so the shields have been removed for this, so someone has touched this. So I'll put this under the scope and we'll have a look. Not a lot of corrosion. Now you do typically see it down the bottom down here, but we don't have any that I can see. Check for long screw damage. No. Okay, so let's pull this foam crap off the top of the board here. Oh, sorry, I didn't even focus that. So this stuff doesn't have to be there. It's sort of like a protection that Apple's put in place for people who are going to do screen replacements, or preferably their guys, but they would prefer their guys, but so you don't go bumping any of these other parts. And I suppose it gives it some sort of water. Oh, hello. See, we've got corrosion honey under there. So you can see there at the top left of that pin there, there's quite a bit of corrosion there, and if I'm right, I believe that's the backlight circuit, but we'll have a look in a second. You do not want to see my fingers underneath this microscope. It's actually disgusting. So you can Just a little bit of crap in there. Nothing to worry about. So yeah, only a slight bit of corrosion there by the look of it. Alright, so I'll take this shield here off. Underneath that's a lot of the backlight circuit and your CPU as well, and a few other things. So I'm not really concerned about that lot because it's mainly your reception based things. Now this is data recovery only for water damage, so the phone getting reception and whatnot isn't really an issue. Well, probably don't need sticky tape. I don't know where I grabbed that. Why didn't you guys tell me that was there? Alright. Keep going, warming up. So this is just a little, like a little vice. Not drawing up too tight, you don't want too much pressure on the board, but I just want to hold it so it doesn't move. And the 6S ones do come off quite easily too. Now I'm not drying it. This is not for the purpose of drying the board out. This is heat to obviously melt the solder to cut this shield off, and then I'll give it a good clean. So I just want to make sure that there's no corrosion underneath here. Sweet. A little bit of water. I should be wearing gloves. I don't really like to trust the chain of events people state when they've water damaged it. I don't really want to know what sort of crap people put their phones in. Anyway, so this does look quite good. I'm still going to give it a clean anyway. Bath. Junk in there. So the only noticeable corrosion is that top right part of that connector there. If you've got an ultrasonic cleaner, that is probably the best way to clean it. This is just my only way. I don't have an ultrasonic cleaner. You know, if you damage something at home, you know, if you can open it up, by all means. This is a lot more effective than rice, or putting it in the sun. Now, isopropyl alcohol is not actually conductive, so this won't. You can go turn your phone on while this is wet. You can, I probably wouldn't advise it. I mean, once you're mixing it with all the other chemicals and stuff that you're probably mixing it with when you're putting it on a dirty board, it may, but. So yeah, this is like probably the most effective means of treating something that's water damaged. It's far more effective than putting it in rice and drying it out. Alcohol is not actually conductive. You can fire your phone up with it in alcohol. I probably wouldn't advise it. It's probably not a safe thing to advise over the internet because people will go and put a completely corroded board and just rest it in alcohol and go turn it on. No, it needs to be cleaned. It needs to be pure. And I mean well cleaned, like basically what I'm doing now, but so while that is out, now the most common sort of issues after water damage is like VCC main shorts, bat VCC shorts that will stop the phone from booting. So if I can find my multimeter. So put this in continuity mode. So continuity mode basically just tells you an amount of resistance between two things that are connected, like this pair of tweezers. You get the beep. It's connected, and it'll give you the amount of resistance between it. So 0.2. So stuff all resistance in my tweezers, but they are connected. So to check for a bat BCC short, we just check these two. We don't have a bat BCC short. So I have quite some good hopes for this. I'm actually thinking this probably is turning on, but you're not getting a display because you don't have the backlight. Well, sorry, you're not getting a backlight, but the display is actually there. You just can't see it. So if I check this battery as well, that's in the phone. Put our multimeter on DC mode. And we check the battery, we've got 0.002. So the fuse in this has been tripped, which is a good thing. Fuses are meant to trip. So all the batteries in the iPhones have a resettable fuse in them. If you've got water on it, that fuse trips and the battery drops to 0 and you don't have any power going through your board anymore, which will slow down corrosion, stop things from blowing, etc. So I will reset this fuse. And that's just on charge over there, but for the purpose of testing I'm going to be using new stuff. Okay, so new screen. New screen on. Charge port on. And battery on. Now, if I plug it in, what happens? Nothing. If I shine a torch, exactly what I said earlier. So you can actually see, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this actually. Can you see that Apple symbol in the middle of the display? You can just see it above where that reflection is. Hang on, this might help. See that Apple symbol? So this phone is working, you just don't have a screen. Sweet. So let's look at why. So obviously that backlight circuit, I'm just going to confirm that. Actually, let's get that up on the screen. Now that might not, I could actually be wrong there, and the backlight filter could have blown for another reason. They do blow quite often during water damage. Okay, so we bring up ZXW. And there's these pins here that I believe were corroded. So we see down here you've got LCM backlight anode, so that's the backlight circuit. So that's going to be the issue. Now, backlight filters are so you put your heat on it like, I don't know, about 200, a little bit less. Actually, I should show you this. So this pin comes in, it goes through that capacitor and up to this filter as well. So given that, which one was it actually? It was the second one that was corroded, wasn't it? I mean, in my experience, it seems to always be that top one that's blown, so that's what we're going to do. If I fail, worst comes to worst, I just have to redo the other one. You know what, I'm probably just going to do both. Why not? Backline filters off. Need flux. Flux the area. Sweet. It's like as soon as I put one tool down, it just... Sweet. Now I don't actually like that top one. Sweet. So, I'll get rid of this, and we'll give this another go. I'll try and actually do this somewhere here you guys can see it. So, the screen. Charge port, battery, and we connect our charger to prompt it to boot, and we have a light. Now see if this backs up. So you could imagine, I mean, the lack of what Rice would have actually done to fix that. You know, like Rice was never going to replace those backlight filters. It was never going to fix anything. It was never going to clean that entire board. It was never going to get underneath those shields. So by taking the shields off, cleaning it with alcohol, getting rid of that corrosion, and then replacing the parts that were actually blown, we fixed the issue. And now I've got a phone that's on. So I'll go ahead and call the customer and get the code, and we'll do a backup. Thanks for watching.